Hello, welcome. We have our 15 minutes of before the beginning meditation, before the beginning of the workshop. So I'm inviting us all to practice with, on the in-breath, we can silently repeat to ourselves, I am present to whatever is present in me. And then at the completion of the in-breath, I ask us all to pause briefly. And then on the exhale, if you would include, if you would silently repeat to yourself, I am aware that I am aware. And then again, pausing briefly at the completion of the exhale. So on the inhale again, please, I am present to whatever is present in me. Pausing. And I am aware that I am aware on the exhale. And then pausing again at the completion of the exhale. So let's practice this together for the next 12 or 13 minutes, and we'll have a single chime of the bell that will indicate the completion of this meditation. Thank you for being here. Breathing in, I am present to whatever is present in me. And breathing out, I am aware that I am aware.
Hello and welcome, everybody. Acharya Premadas will be leading us in tonight's workshop entitled The Buddha's Teachings on Equanimity, the fourth of the four Brahmaviharas. Before the workshop begins, I have just a few quick announcements. The first is that there will be an opportunity a little bit later to participate in a question and answer section. So if you would like to submit a question anonymously, you may do so by clicking on the chat icon and typing a little message to the host, and your question will be shared anonymously. If you'd rather share a question personally, then you may do so by clicking on participants and then raising your hand through the Zoom application. So those are two ways if you'd like to share a question later in today's workshop. We will be continuing our Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday night meditations on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook through at least the end of February. So if you'd like to participate with us, however you joined us this evening, whether you used a link to get into Zoom or a telephone number, or whether you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, you may continue to connect with us in that way through the end of February. If you're on Zoom and you experience any kind of challenge, or you just have a question that pops up, feel free again to click on that chat icon and send a message to the host, and we'll do our best to help you. And finally, if you're on Zoom and you lose the video on your screen, if you go down to your computer's navigation bar, click the little blue icon with the white movie camera, the video should pop back up for you. So that's all I have to share with you this evening. And I delight in introducing you and welcoming Acharya Premadas.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Pranam to you all. Welcome, everybody. It's very, very sweet to be here to share about Upekkha, which is the Pali word for equanimity. So we'll dive into that in a little bit. We're going to begin with a 15-minute meditation. And we're going to break that down into two parts, into an initial 10-minute and then a following 5 minutes. So after I finish my description and lead us into the meditation, when I stop speaking, you'll hear 3 chimes of the bell. And then after the initial 10 minutes, you'll hear a single chime of the bell. And then at the completion of the full 15 minutes, we'll have a single chime of the bell again. I want to mention something, that these meditations that I've been offering, they are multifaceted, and in some ways they may seem a little complex, like there's a lot to them, a lot of instruction, a lot to remember. There is a value in that, in cultivating the ability to concentrate the mind and to focus the mind and to return to the instruction. If you do forget the instruction, don't worry. But if you're able to just return to the specific piece of the meditation that we're doing at that time. Again, it helps with cultivating concentration. And when our mind is concentrated and focused, it helps us in achieving a degree of stillness from that concentration. So the tendency of the mind is to wander and to think of this and that and jump from topic to topic. So we have something to return to focus on and to concentrate. So I just want to acknowledge that I know that sometimes there is a lot, and please just do your best. So this opening meditation for tonight's workshop, I would love for you to cultivate the feeling of coming home. It's interesting. The Thanksgiving holiday sometimes has a lot of feeling of coming home to family, coming home to family or a place. And in the spirit of the word vihara in Brahmavihara, it is an abode. It can be a physical place. For instance, there is in Washington, D.C., down on 16th Street, there is a wonderful Buddhist center. It's called the Buddhist Vihara. So that is, and it's a residence. There are Theravadan Buddhist monks there, and they have meditation and services there. So a vihara can be an outer place, a physical place, but the thing that we're really working on in this workshop is that inner abode of where these qualities abide is within each and every one of us, and cultivating that. So this feeling of coming home. So some of the qualities that may include is the feeling of being deeply loved, deeply known, deeply accepted, appreciated, heard, seen. So coming home to that. So on the in-breath, and I am home, I'm offering that as the phrase for us to focus on the in-breath. So as we're practicing, let's on the in-breath silently repeat to ourselves, I am home, and cultivate that with that, the feeling of I am known, I am seen, I am loved, I am appreciated, I am heard, all of those wonderful qualities. So I am home on the in-breath. And then at the completion of the in-breath, again, we're going to pause briefly, and no need to strain or force or hold your breath for prolonged periods of time. This isn't about strain, but just pause briefly at the completion of the inhale. And just rest in that moment, in that space of pausing at the completion of the inhale. And then as we exhale, imagine or repeat to yourself, I step into this new moment anew, this fresh new moment anew. So in the flowing of all of time, there is no constancy, there is no stagnancy, there's no permanence. Everything is in constant, continuous movement. So as we exhale, we are entering into the next moment, having come home and having been in that feeling of being loved and known and seen and heard and appreciated, all of that. I am home, and then I step into this next moment anew. The truth is, we've never been in this next moment. It is new. And this meditation is designed to help us to recognize the newness, the freshness, the never beforeness of this next moment. So on the exhale, I step into this next moment anew. And then again, pausing at the completion of the exhale. And then we're continuing repeating on the in-breath, I am home. And then pausing at the completion of the inhale. And on the exhale, I step into this next moment anew. All right, so that's going to be the first 10 minutes. And then you'll hear a single chime of the bell after 10 minutes. Then I would just like you to let everything go, no more remembering of the instructions, and simply pay attention to your breath. Be aware of your breath. The breath as it moves in and out through the nostrils. You may notice that your breaths have elongated somewhat. And on the inhale, please observe the sound that the breath is making on the inhale. So on the inhale, what is the sound? I'm just being aware of the sound of the breath on the inhale. And then pausing at the completion of the inhale. You'll notice the silence then. And then on the exhale, being aware of the sound of the breath on the exhale. And then pausing at the completion of the exhale. And we'll do that for the final 5 minutes. And then we'll complete the meditation with another single chime of the bell. So let us now practice. I am home. I step into this next moment anew. As we continue our meditation now on the in-breath, simply observe, listen to what is the sound of the in-breath, and pausing as we have been. And on the exhale, listen to the sound of the exhale of the breath, and pausing again. Absolute peace pervades the whole universe. Absolute peace manifests through each of us to bless the world. Absolute peace abides in us as we abide in it, now and forevermore. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome. I hope that meditation assists in cultivating equanimity in you. So there are certainly things that we can do in our lives to cultivate equanimity. We can think of equanimity as, one way is to think of it as being equal in all things, even, steady, calm, quiet. Steady in a fast-changing world, a world of no constancy, of transitioning, of impermanence. To remain steady, how we can cultivate that steadiness is by eliminating all sense of separation, all sense of the other with not only our human sisters and brothers, but also with the animal life, the plant life, the earth, the water, with all of life. And beyond all of those factors, the whole community of life, which exists beyond this planet to the entire cosmos. So we come into a relationship with all of life that allows for equipoise, for ease, for non-reactivity, for calm, for peacefulness, for love, for kindness, for compassion, for joy, non-competition with anyone or anything, welcoming anyone and anything, certainly anyone outside of ourselves that we perceive to be other than ourselves. We come to recognize them as not separate from us, but internal. Also, welcoming and greeting all of the qualities, all the conditions that arise within ourselves. And that's the best place for us to begin. So that whatever arises, we do not resist, we do not fight, we attempt to not judge. We find ourselves judging whether those qualities in ourselves or those qualities in others. Because we are paying attention, we are mindful, we are practicing awareness in every moment. Having noticed that we have engaged in judgmentalism of any sort, then we also make that an object of love, an object of receptivity, of welcoming, of accepting it just as it is. So that rather than adding layer upon layer of judgment, increasing the cycle of judgmentalism, which is a form of violence. So by how we are in that moment, in each moment, again, having become aware of it once it has arisen, and then we respond to that in that moment with the kind of friendliness, receptivity, non-judgmentalism, non-competitiveness, welcoming, acknowledging, accepting. And then that now transforms our relationship with that condition or quality as it has arisen. As we pay attention to all of those, then we cultivate the ability, we're so fully present that we can begin to bear witness to the co-arising, the coming together of the variety of conditions, the codependent, the causes that allows for, that makes possible all the different factors that come together such that judgmentalism is the result. So we uproot the root causes, we remove those, again, by mindfulness, by cultivating love, by cultivating compassion, by cultivating joy, by cultivating equanimity. Then by doing that, we're removing all the conditions that even make that quality, and there are others, but let's say we're working with judgmentalism. So in order to have judgmentalism, so there's the judgmentalism we may have of ourselves. We cause ourselves so much suffering by the judgmentalism of those qualities of our failing to meet up to our expectations or meet up to our ideal. We fall short, we experience disappointment, all of which exists as a function of comparison. So we want to remove comparison. In order to have judgmentalism, we have to have comparison, we have to have sizing up, we have to have measurement, which is not the quality of loving kindness. That is not the quality of compassion. That is not the quality that allows for joy, sympathetic joy, for welcoming, for celebrating, for celebrating. Imagine, if you would, imagine the difference that we actually, it may seem far-fetched, but to actually to celebrate in the sense of greet and without competition, without judgment, to welcome every quality that it arises in our vihara, in our consciousness. To welcome absolutely everything. Not to dwell on it, not to resist, not to bind ourselves or attach ourselves, but also not to practice aversion, but just allow it to be just as it is. So the practice of mindfulness is being in every moment just as it is. So that may feel remote or distant for us at the present, but by coming together with all of the different qualities that were these Brahmaviharas of cultivating the loving kindness, the compassion, the sympathetic joy, and the equanimity. So then we develop a state, a spaciousness within our consciousness, so that what actually arises is more love, more understanding, more compassion, more forgiveness, more patience, more kindness, all of those beautiful qualities. So the development of equanimity. So there's a question I would like to pose. What is it that when it falls away, equanimity remains? So what is it that when that falls away, equanimity is what remains? Equanimity is what was there already, but it's revealed, it's more visible, it's more directly experienceable. So what is it that when it falls away, equanimity remains or is revealed? So I invite all of us to explore that for ourselves in our real life experience. So I'm going to offer a couple of answers to that question, which I hope will be helpful. But what is much, much more useful and more important, really, is for us to find out the answer for ourselves, to explore within ourselves. So there are a couple of things that when they fall away, what naturally is revealed, what naturally abides or resides, is one of those is fear. And another of those is attachment. So I think it was in our last session, I asked us to explore, maybe the session before, anything that we are deeply afraid of. Coming into a powerful, clear, certainly loving, compassionate, sympathetically joyful relationship with anything that we fear. And so it's helpful to become aware of those things which cause us fear. The purpose is not to dwell on the fear. The purpose is not to immerse ourselves in fear. And at the same time, if fear is present in us, and it may be unspoken, it may be unconscious. Some of us live in a condition of deep fear. And so it's really valuable to simply become aware of that of which we are afraid. The purpose of which is to free ourselves, to root out that which we are fearful of, so that in the absence of fear, when fear falls away, then what remains is equanimity, is the capacity to be equal, to be even, to be steady, to be calm, to be peaceful, no matter what the outer or inner conditions or circumstances are that arise. So the Buddha, in his teachings, he acknowledges that there is happiness and sadness, and he acknowledges that there is a kind of happiness which is conditioned. It is determined by circumstances and conditions, whether outside of us or within us. So that is a caused, a condition, a relative kind of happiness, which is temporary, which is fleeting, which is fickle. It is not steady. It is not a constancy. But he also acknowledges that there is a kind of a happiness, there is a kind of peacefulness, a kind of upekkha, a kind of equanimity, which is less and less and less determinative by circumstances and conditions. So that's what we're seeking. That's what we're looking for here, something that is really a constant, no matter what the outer circumstances or conditions, that there is the possibility of meeting all of that, of coming to all of that in our lives with that kind of a steadiness, a calm, peacefulness, receptivity, just a deep and abiding love and calm and peace. So, if we're willing, and this is an approach, is to invite ourselves to be aware of all that we are afraid of. So there are many, many objects or topics or catalysts for fear. We may be fearful of losing something, or of losing a person, or of losing a possession that is very, very near and dear to us. we may be fearful of losing our job. We may be fearful of our financial situation. Um, it's really for each of us to kind of dive into it for ourselves and see, what is it? What am I fearful of? And is it possible for me to be truly free of this fear? One of the both it's a cyclical process. Is we attempt to control life and to determine the outcomes. And then when the outcomes don't arise or occur the way that we planned or we hoped for or we were attached to, then we experience suffering. We experience disappointment and frustration. So there's also that urge to try and control the outcomes. Another approach to cultivating equanimity is to do all that we do and trust in the law of action, the law of karma, to do our best and let go of the results and give up measuring the results and comparing the results to what it is that we predicted or that we were trying to control or trying to produce. So when we can let go of trying to control and produce an outcome, then that frees us up to just do what we are doing fully, completely, joyfully, with all our being, with all our heart, all our joy, to give ourselves fully to it, and then leave the rest. It's that practice of nothing added. There are verses in the Bhagavad Gita, there are verses in the Tao Te Ching, there are verses, teachings in the Dhammapada and in other places of the Buddha, of the Pali Canon and the Sanskrit texts as well, of doing our work and letting go of the results. So relinquishing our effort to control, our futile effort to control life and to manipulate and to dominate life, to allow life to happen. One of the factors, when we recognize that all that we do is all of our action, as well as our words, as well as our thoughts, are energies that we are expressing out into the world, out into the universe. When we recognize the impact and the import and the nature of that energy that we are expressing, one of the things that will happen is we will naturally take care with what it is that we express out in the world, because we become very, very aware, very clear that everything that we think, say, and do is it's intensely important how we express, and that is energy that moves out into the universe. So we start to take greater care, and we naturally, without any external authority imposing rules on us, we naturally take care. That's the beauty of these teachings. They begin with guidelines, with recommendations for how it is helpful for us to behave, acknowledging that if we behave in certain ways, it is impossible for us to cultivate a thoughtful, a mindful, and attentive, a calm countenance approach to our life. So there are those initial guidelines, but as we progress along the path, those are entirely insufficient. The laws and the rules are only a beginning place. They are only a very, very preliminary stepping stone as we step on the stones to cross the stream. And they are intended for us to then, on our own, discover what it is to be, what it is that we want to be true to, what it is we want to dedicate and devote our lives to. And then to do that and to take care and to be true to ourselves. So, and all of this teaching, certainly the Buddhist teaching, and certainly the Brahmaviharas, they are beyond all religious traditions. They are common to many religious teachings, spiritual teachings of different times, different cultures, different places. But they are in truth entirely non-sectarian, non-doctrinal. They are simply the laws of life. So the teachers, I would say, what they hope for is for us to discover for ourselves. See, you can't legislate this stuff. You just can't. It can only go so far. And if one is bound by some externally imposed authority requiring us to follow the rules, then we fall into a consciousness of looking for loopholes in the rules and trying to find ways that we can do what we really want to do, even though they may not be true to the word or especially the spirit of what the rule is. And that's why those kinds of rules, those kinds of laws fall short. So these teachings, but they have a value, but they are not the net end. They are not what we're shooting for. What we're shooting for is to inspire each and every one of us to be true to ourselves, to cultivate those qualities, those inner qualities, including qualities like the Brahmaviharas of love, of kindness, of compassion, of joy, of equanimity. And then as we develop those and cultivate those, then we nurture those and we regulate ourselves. So this is moving beyond regulation, external regulation, to inner inspiration, to movement, to be true to ourselves. I want to invite if there are any questions. I don't see any hands raised, so I don't think we have any questions. If anybody does have a question they'd love to share, please do so, and I'll just keep going here. So when we cultivate these qualities of steadiness, of calm, of peacefulness, what we can do is we can offer that to others, to be a vihara, to be a safe space, a loving, welcoming space, and to be a refuge, a place for anybody to come just as they are, with all of their baggage, all of their foibles, and free of judgment, a space free of judgment, a space filled with love. So filled with love that there's just not even the possibility of the arising of judgment. It's just the natural welcoming, the compassion, the joy, the celebration, the non-competitiveness, the offering a place for every voice in the chorus, for every flower in the bouquet. Every being is a precious flower. Certainly there are many of us who are lost in our suffering, and we have, in many ways, we have been cut off from even the sense of possibility of love, of worth, of value. And so that's what we can offer to everybody. And all are welcome at this table, all are welcome in this community. And it's for us to look for and to find that heart, that beauty, that goodness, that kindness in that being. So there's the teaching of the Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattva vow is the dedication, the vow, the promise to be reborn, to be in embodiment forever and ever until all sentient beings have passed into enlightenment. So that's a very kind of extreme, extraordinary promise to make. It is nothing less than the promise that life gives to us, that the truth will be available. The energies that are the Brahmaviharas are offered to us, are always available. There's nothing that anyone or can do or could ever do to destroy those. Those are energies which are immutable, they're indestructible. Certainly we can cut ourselves off from them, but they are always available. There's nothing that we can do to destroy them, not that we would want to, but sometimes when we feel so cut off and so distant and so remote from those, they may not feel accessible, but they are constant. They are, and beyond any religious tradition, they are non-sectarian, they are not bound by time or by location. So that's the promise that life is making to us, that we, these energies of loving kindness, of compassion, of joy, of equanimity, we are available to you. That's what they're saying to us. We are available to you, and here are some ways that you can avail yourself of them. So that, and as we progress, so that we discover them for ourselves. So we relinquish our urge, our desire to control. We sit in the fire of all that we may be afraid of, and we trust in the law of life. We trust in the beauty and goodness of life. Certainly there may be circumstances and conditions that are painful or are unpleasant, but certainly there are many, many unpainful, many beautiful, exquisite, pleasant experiences, conditions. It's coming into a relationship with all of the unpleasant and the pleasant, as well as all of the neutral. There are many neutral qualities and conditions and circumstances. We come into right relationship, into a non-attached relationship with all of that, not holding on to the pleasant experiences. And then when they pass, we've experienced that loss. So we allow everything to come and go in the due time, in the natural flowing of all of life. So we come into a relationship with all of life that allows for, that is necessarily is an experience of peacefulness, of allowing, of balance, of evenness, of steadiness with all the circumstances and conditions. Now, these are very, very subtle, very difficult to achieve ideals, but they are worthy of us. So we make ourselves a space, and then as we do that, each and every one of us, so we create that space or that vihara, that abode of peacefulness, of welcoming, of greeting, of acceptance, of non-judgmentalism, of non-attachment. We allow people to come and we allow people to go, and not just when people may pass or leave the body, but also when they move into our community, and they may stay for a little while, they may stay for a long while, and they may go. And we welcome them, and when they move on, we send them forth knowing that we are one with them, that we are a brother, a sister, we are connected with them, and they move over to that other part of the planet, and that connection that we have with them stays. That is an energy that also it is not permanent, but it has potency, and it has resilience, and that also we establish these connections, and create a kind of a space between us and among us that is similar between the spaces of the synapses of the brain and the space between the planets, that has everything in order, and that has as its root connectivity, connection. And so we cultivate a connectivity between us that moves, that is deeper than simply these physical bodies with their apparent distances and separations. So it's creating that connectivity, and it is this refuge, and the refuge that each of us generates and creates, and that kind of a spaciousness, that when we do that together, it allows for, it creates something that otherwise simply would not be available. When we are able to create that and have that relatedness and that connection with other human beings, that is a higher order of magnitude of connectedness, of spaciousness, and that is a type of an energy that also manifests and expresses out into the world. So that energy, similarly, what is it that when it falls away, when it stops, then that energy of connection is what remains. That unadulterated, undiluted, unpolluted, that spaciousness and connection, which is already existing, always already existing. And that when we remove our fear, or we remove our judgmentalism, we remove our attachment, then that's what remains. And it is not something that is manufactured. It is something that is left over, if we are willing to let go and to surrender and to allow it and to trust. So I'm positing something here. I'm suggesting that there's something available by this approach. And then where the heart of the matter is for each of us to explore that if we like, and to dive into it, to question everything that I've said, that I've shared, and inquire into it for ourselves with our minds and with our hearts. So at At this time, we're going to take a little break for just a few minutes. We'll have a slide shown on the screen, and if you would like to make a financial offering to Awake Yoga Meditation or to Swami Nityananda, you'll see instructions on how to do so. Please know that we offer these teachings without expectation. We offer them with an open hand, with an open heart, and certainly we, as a community organization, we have our own expenses, and so we deeply welcome with our hearts any offering that you make, and I particularly request that you do so without obligation, and any offering that you make with your heart. So we'll take a few minutes now, and there will just be silence. So thank you very much. Thank you all so very, very much. We're going to move into a little bit of just a brief review, and then we'll have a closing meditation. So these Brahmaviharas, these immeasurable states of consciousness, again, there are states of consciousness that we can create, that we can facilitate, that we can cultivate and nurture. And these lead to a state of being, a state of consciousness, which is just allowing for all of life just as it is. So that whatever circumstances, whatever conditions, whatever experiences that we may have at any time, that we can come into a way of being with all of that. so that we are not thrown by it, so that we can, even in the midst of painful experiences, we can experience love. We can experience kindness. We can experience understanding and compassion and forgiveness. Knowing that we are one with all of our sisters and brothers, we dedicate ourselves, we devote ourselves, if we want to take this up, to devote ourselves to seeing the best in all. At the end of the day, we are these personalities, these human beings that we are. We get to be on this planet for a very, very fleeting, short, brief period of time. All of us are going, everything that, all of our experiences and everything that we have held on to, everything certainly that we are attached to, they are going to be gone from our experience, gone from our grip. These teachings are inviting us and really encouraging us to allow all of that to go. The experience of the release of all that we've held on to can be one that is peaceful, even joyful, or it can be wrenching and very, very painful. We can put that off until it is our time to depart from this physical world, in which case, if we have been resisting letting go of everything that we've held on to, then it is likely, not necessarily, it is likely to be a very wrenching, difficult experience. So that is a kind of a transitioning from this mortal life to beyond this mortal life, that we have everything to say about how that is going to be. Now, that is a great transition that occurs. It is natural. It's as important a part of life as birth, and how that tremendous transition occurs will be a function of and determined by how we make each and every transition in each and every moment. Remembering that we are in an ongoing stream of flowing of all of life. So we are, in fact, transitioning and transitioning and transitioning. There is no fixed state. So one of the things that the teachings and I've been striving to cultivate is coming into a relationship with everything from the past, from all of history, from all of time, which shows up, which causally, the effects of all of that shows up in this instant, in this moment. And then how we're cultivating a relationship with all of that, which allows for, or even makes possible, determines what is even possible for our next moment to be. So in this moment, how we are with everything that has transpired that leads to this moment, if we are willing to let go of everything we are holding on to, then it allows for a way of being in this moment that is free, that is unattached, that allows for another kind of a possibility. So long as we are holding on to or trying to control or trying to dictate the outcome of any moment, then we are limiting, we are boxing, we are restricting what is even possible to happen. So one of the fears that we may experience is a fear of disappearing. That this personality, when we let go of absolutely everything, and if we are genuinely willing to do so, then we let go, and then everything that we've held on to, which has given us a sense of who we are, we may be afraid of that, and we don't need to be. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of being and the nature of personality and the nature of what remains when we let go. Again, there's a tremendous amount of trust in the perfection of life and in the goodness and the beauty and the wholeness of life. If we are willing, again, and we can do this step by step. We don't have to do it all at once. We can. What I encourage is to take deep consideration, and not lightheartedly, not carelessly, not even casually, because when we let go of everything that we've held on to or everything that we believe ourselves to be, we may move through some different spaces and different energies. That's why it's useful, important to have a community, to have fellow practitioners who can help us, that when we are letting go and letting go and letting go, to give us a basis, a foundation, and to provide that vihara, that refuge, that place, to get a reality check. Because naturally what happens is some of the deeper things that are in our consciousness that we may be afraid of, and that we may be afraid that that's who we are, then they will come. And it's important to remember, if we take the step on a path of letting go and letting go and letting go of absolutely everything and releasing, that we may, not necessarily, we may encounter some things that are coming up so as to pass. The point of which is freedom. The point of which is liberation. So we are here for you, both fellow practitioners as people, as well as the teachings, as well as these qualities. Sometimes we may feel, I just need something to hold on to. Give me something to hold on to. That's something that for each and every one of us, ultimately to determine for ourselves. Anything that we hold on to, ultimately we're going to want to release, because anything at all can itself become a bondage. Anything that we hold on to by a function of our holding on to it, it becomes a bondage, it becomes a hindrance. But certainly if we're going to hold on to something, and I invite the holding on with open hands, with a kind of a deep faith and a trust, as I said, in the perfection and the goodness and the beauty of life, and the law of life, which we each of us must ultimately discover for ourselves. But until we engage in the practice of the letting go, we will never, can never, ever meet or discover it for ourselves. So, and nobody can do it for us. And we're never alone. And you are surrounded by people who will climb the mountain with you, and you are never alone. So I've said a lot, and I would like us to embark on a closing meditation, if you like. In this meditation, I actually invite us all to let go of all of these ideas, to let go of absolutely everything. All of these teachings, they are present. We don't need to hold on to them for them to be present. They are available always, accessible always, if we will avail ourselves of them. And the more we will let go, the more we will trust, then actually the deeper that they are available to us. They will naturally arise in us when we let go of all our fear and all our holding on. So in this meditation, the practice is to, on the in-breath, you can, if you like, you can say to yourself consciously, say to yourself, I consciously let go of everything I'm holding on to on the in-breath. And then on the out-breath, pausing at the completion of the inhale, pausing as we do. And then on the out-breath, just be, no words, and just notice the experience of being available to life, to whatever comes, to life as it is. And then pausing at the completion of the exhale. So we'll do this for about 12 minutes. We'll have a single chime at indicating the completion of the meditation. And I'll say something very brief, and that will be the end of our time together tonight. So thank you all for your presence. Thank you for your participation, for your interest, for your exploration. And you are always welcome here, just as you are. And you are always loved and honored with utmost respect. So let us practice getting into a comfortable meditative posture, spine, neck, head erect, and eyes closed. On the in-breath, please let us silently repeat to ourselves, I let go of everything. And then pausing at the completion of the inhale. And on the exhale, without words, simply be present to whatever is present. And then pausing at the completion of the exhale. Let us practice this now. Thank you all for being here. May all of your fondest hopes and dreams for your life be fulfilled. Good night.